Right, so following on from the series of recent videos of slightly older air rifles, I'm going to show you four of my my collection of older rifles that date right back from the 1930s all the way through to 1983. So start at the bottom here. The first one is a BSA Meteor Mark 1. Now, I think these are probably the best of the Meteors. They were certainly the best put together. Solid little rifle. They were never designed to be full-powered hunting rifles. Well, full-powered rifles. That was left to the role of the air sporter. But nonetheless, the little Meteor was quite a good gun. You know, it generated about 8 foot-pounds, which is enough for short to medium range hunting. It was a fairly simple rifle, underlever cocking, brake barrel cocking, with a straightforward, unarticulated cocking arm. A fairly simple, straightforward first stage trigger. And the little Meteor Mark 1 was one of the very first air rifles ever to be fitted with telescopic sight rails. And as you can see, they were somewhat odd because they weren't a proper rail. They were just two sections of the cylinder that were like crimped out, and these are quite wide as well. I think they're about 14 mil, so you have a job to fit modern telescopic sight rails onto this particular rifle. As you can see, this one is a .22 caliber, and 22s were definitely the most popular. These were quite a popular first sort of boys hunting rifle, if you like, field rifle. And because of that, they're actually quite rare to find in reasonable condition. There's loads of them about, but normally they're battered because they were owned by youths, young boys, who tended to trash them really, treat them quite roughly. So this one's not in bad nick. Unfortunately, someone's given it rather an indifferent clear varnishing of the stock, which perhaps isn't the best, but it's not too bad, to be fair. But the metalwork on this one is very good. The bluing is really good. All the markings are nice and crisp. There's no serious pitting anywhere, and it's all complete as well. The rear sight isn't original. Someone's put a different type of drift rear sight on it. But the foresight still got your little screw on it, so you could take the element out and change it for a different type. BSA made several different types of these foresights, so you could just slot them in. It's got the usual BSA recessed barrel. You can see that. Yeah, so really nice little rifle. Pretty much one of the first air rifles that most boys in the 60s, even the 70s. The Meteor went through loads of variants. I think they're on about number 7 now. No, I'm not sure whether it's actually called Meteor Mark 7. It's called Meteor something else now. But they went through loads of different marks. But I think that the Mark 1 was probably the best made. Mainly because it had blued steel. After the Mark 1, they went to like an enamelled sort of finish, which ran right through to I think the 90s, the mid-90s, when they finally went back to bluing again. But they were black enamelled, like a stove enamelling, which looked quite good when it was new, but wore quite badly because you couldn't touch it up, and it was difficult to keep it in good condition really. You can't beat bluing. But the early ones like this one were blued, and in all fairness, this one's kept very, very well. So that's BSA Meteor. Next one up, you've seen this one a few times on my videos. It's the Sterling HR81. Probably the last British air rifle to be built out of solid gun steel throughout, with no alloys, no castings, and absolutely no plastics involved anywhere. There were no plastic bearings, no plastic bushes, nothing, no castings. It was all machined gun steel, and this was probably the last British rifle to be made like that. This is the later one that had this sort of peculiar black crackle finish to the foresight and the trigger guard. The earlier one that I've got another one of these, an earlier one, that has blued trigger guard and blued foresight. But again, you can see, look at that, really good top quality polishing and bluing of these things. These were made in the traditions of finest English gun making. Not necessarily the nicest of rifles, really. They were quite powerful, but they were a bit of an ungainly brute. But I kind of like them. I like them. I think they're quite distinctive. And also they're quite collectible because they only had a very short period of manufacture. They were made from about 81 to about late 83, I think. Two versions, HR81 and HR83, which was equipped with a walnut stock and a two-stage trigger and a different type of barrel latch. But actually, I like the original versions. They were later made in the States for a short while as well, under the Beeman brand, by Beeman, but they're not as well finished as the proper Sterling Arms Company ones. So again, lovely rifle, beautiful, top quality engineering of them. Really like the Sterlings. It's like I say, it's probably the last British air rifle that was made completely out of top quality steel. No castings, no pressings, no plastics. Lovely rifle. Really nice. Then we come on to one of my old favourite collectible rifles, Webley Service Mark II. This is the Series 3. Again, this is 2.2. As you can see, bolt actions like the Sterling. Replaceable barrels run through this again. Gorgeous rifle this. Absolutely stunning. Beautiful walnut woodwork. Heavy steel, all again beautifully engineered. The engineering on these is superb. Again, not the most powerful rifles. Probably lucky to get 10 out of it when they were brand new. Most these days probably running between 6 and 8 or 9. Unless they've had new mainsprings and all new washers in them. But this is quite a good example, this one. It's got a reasonably good stock. It's in good condition. Untampered with. I gave it a good clean the other day and brought loads of gunk and cack off it. And I've re-waxed it. I was thinking of rubbing it down to get rid of these little scratches and dinks, but then I changed my mind. I actually think they're quite character forming on a gun that's nearly 100 years old. And it's got a beautifully figured walnut stock, especially on that side. It's a bit plainer on the other side, but certainly this side is really nice. Great rifle. The bluing's not bad at all. Pretty good. There's a few scratches and things where it's been laid down over the years on the cylinder, but all the markings are there. A little bit of browning on it, but virtually nothing. In all fairness, that's actually quite a nice Mark III. It's in, Mark II. It's in very good condition. Then one of the little jewels of my collection. I've had this ages, and this is my Mark III. This is a late 60s Mark III. Beautiful, beautiful rifles, these. Absolutely stunning things. The metalwork on them is unbelievable. Absolutely stunning. Sensational bluing. The polishing is brilliant. And again, no plastic apart from the little badge. Apart from the little Webley badge. Everything is machine steel. No castings, nothing. It's a gorgeous rifle, the Mark III. I think the Mark III is one of the nicest British air rifles. It's just absolute bit of class. Just really are. They're just lovely. And handling these is great. They're just when you compare them to a modern air rifle, a modern Springer, the weight, the balance, that slim, slender stock, they just feel, they're just a million miles away, really. Beautiful guns, really are superbly made, and really nice to shoot. Even now, that is great to shoot. great fun rifle to shoot, and it's still pretty damn accurate as well. I have got a Super Target on its way, which is the Webley's Target version of this rifle. This one's a 2.2, but they also made what they call the Super Target version, which differed only slightly in the fact that it had a much heavier barrel, much thicker, heavier barrel, slightly longer. They came in 177 caliber, and they had a Parker Hale peep sight on the back. They'd used two versions of Parker Hale peep sight, and the last ones had an Anschutz peep sight on. The one I've got coming is quite an early one, and when it comes I'll show you the difference between that and this Webley Mark III. But fantastic. They're great, these rifles. When you think that was just a starter's gun, it's so well made. It really is. You know, the polishing, the bluing, no plastic, nice solid, everything's solid and compact, well made, properly engineered. Compared to today's starter rifles, it would just leave them for dust. But having said that, to make this today would probably make it extremely expensive. Like I said before, plans to make the Mark II, and even using pressings and castings, they couldn't do it and make it pay. So there you go, 4 of my vintage collectible air rifles, spanning from the 1930s all the way through to the 1980s.